You're listening to the Lights Out F1 podcast, episode 9, the Canadian Grand Prix, and it's titled, Where the Hell Am I Supposed to Go? And here's where that all played out on track.
We've got a 5-second time penalty for unsafe re-entry. Head down. We have Hamilton 3 seconds behind.
I had nowhere to go. Seriously, I had nowhere to go. I didn't see him.
Copy.
You know, you go through the grass and you come back, you have an amazing grip. Where the hell am I supposed to go?
So, tonight we've got the 5 lights out, 5 lights on segment where we talk about the Renault Renaissance with Daniel Ricciardo, Magnussen and his bad race, including his radio comments, Stroll and his fantastic run from 17th to 9th, Kubica and Gasly, some rumours out there seeing that they might be replaced later on, and of course we talk about that Sebastian Vettel incident with Lewis Hamilton and the FIA, and a lot more coming up on tonight's episode. So, let's get into it. So, my name's Josh, as you all know, and I'm here tonight with Aussie. How are you going tonight, and how's your Canadian Grand Prix?
Well, as you know, it was a very interesting race, Josh. First of all, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready to talk about this one. There's a few good points.
Yeah, well, we've got through it. After a few boring races on the trot, it's definitely taken a turn, hasn't it? The F1 circuit from Monaco and then now Canada. This is probably the worst race for us here in Australia. It was a 4 o'clock, 10 past 4 start in the morning.
Yeah, I think Coda is pretty bad as well, from memory.
I actually like Coda because I think it's around about 6 a.m. from memory start, which means you can get up, watch it, and then you go to work, whereas 4 a.m. It's a little bit too early for that.
Yeah, because it finishes when you'd be getting up. So, you've given up sleep to watch it. I know what you mean. Because none of us watched it live. We've got to be honest. None of us here watched it live.
Like I said, it's probably about the only race all year that I don't watch live. It's just too ridiculous. The only saving grace for us, which kind of helps make it easier, is Monday's a public holiday here, so that made it a lot easier to get up Monday morning and just hit play and just watch it as if it was live before I even touched my phone.
It wasn't a public holiday here.
Oh, you guys don't have it in Queensland?
No, and I think because you're in New South Wales, I'm in Queensland. I think we had it earlier. I think Victoria had the same as you. WA had it last week. So I don't think the Queen's birthday. It's the Queen's birthday holiday, isn't it?
That's correct. I was just going to. Yeah, so I'm laughing to think that we all celebrate it on the same day.
We celebrated it on different days. Go figure. Figure. So, but yeah, Canada, a Commonwealth country.
It is.
Put on a pretty decent show. Now, the 5 lights on, 5 lights out segment. Very important part. Let's do the first light. And it was a Renault Renaissance. And maybe that was marked with Daniel's qualifying in 4th place. It was an all-round good weekend for Renault.
Where did that come from?
I don't know.
There was talk during the week. Remember last podcast, I told you that I heard that Cyril saying that they were up with Mercedes power, and that they were just taking it easy and just ironing a few things out. And we all kind of took that with a grain of salt. But
I think I remember you mentioning they had extra power to use, but they weren't using it for
reliability.
Reliability. So maybe they turned their engines up. That's all they did.
Maybe the bull wasn't so full of bull.
Maybe.
Maybe he wasn't telling fibs this time. Yeah. So he, because it is a power circuit, as we all know, around Canada with the massive long straight there coming into the last chicane.
Yeah, and he was giving Bottas a hard time for a lot longer than I thought he would.
To me, that was the biggest surprise, once the race started. For those that don't know, Dan started 4th after a monster qualifying effort. He was like 0.84 seconds off Seb's pole time, which is pretty darn good for their Renault compared where they've been.
Yeah. The first time they were ahead of the customer teams as well.
That's right. And one of the Red Bulls, he was ahead of he was ahead of
Verstappen.
Verstappen, obviously.
But you have
actually,
to, that was because
had
of
both
Magnussen,
Red Bulls.
But
He was actually ahead of Gasly as well. What am I saying? One of them. He was
yeah,
ahead
but
of both of them.
Gasly doesn't count.
Yeah, we'll get to him later. But you said about Bottas, and that was lap 7, I think, when Bottas finally got past Dan, and he gave him a bit of a fight too. So
Yeah, it was a good almost 10 laps. He had DRS at one point, but that was a surprisingly late move from Daniel there. Watching that gave me I was scared something was going to happen then.
Oh, with him weaving, trying to break the
slipstream.
Yeah, break the draft. It was a little bit. Some would say naughty, but it's within the rules. You're allowed to weave a little bit to try and break the draft, especially on that straight. And he did everything he could, but I mean, I think he was fighting a losing battle. But it did take quite a lot longer than most people would have expected, I think.
Yeah, he said after the race he was having a lot of fun. He said he was surprised that he was able to, give it to Bottas for so long. Probably wrecked his soft tyres a little bit quick, because he started on the softs, one of the few cars that did. But it was all smiles for Daniel Ricciardo at the end of that one, because he didn't end up 4th at the end of it. It was 6th, wasn't it?
He ended up 6th.
6th, yeah. Just in
Behind
front of his
Verstappen,
teammate.
wasn't it? Yep, that's right. He was also... it's the first bit of racing he's got to do, really, all season.
Yeah, it was good to see.
At the front end, let's say, of the... he wasn't battling for 12th for a change.
And even Hulkenberg had a great run. He finished 7th up behind Daniel. He had a long run on the softs. He made his softs last for almost double what Pirelli thought was possible. So Hulkenberg had a great run there, and then he ran his hards to the end there. Apparently he was told to stay behind Daniel, but either way, it was a good run.
Are you sure Hulk started on the softs? I thought he started on the hards, and then he was out there for a long time on them, and then he switched to the softs later, yeah?
No, he ran the softs very long, because he ran them double what Pirelli thought was possible.
Sorry. I'm with you. Most of them didn't they?
Because he ran them for almost 17 laps. And they thought they could only get 10. So
that's right. A lot of them were expecting to pit within 10 laps,
10
but
laps.
I think they all overran that. And it was a really hot day as well. So
yeah, the track temp was about 50 degrees. So pretty hot. Similar to one of the hottest Canadian Grand Prix that they've ever had. Interesting.
Right. Normally we get a little sprinkle of rain or something around here, but not this weekend.
No, definitely not. It was a beautiful weekend in Canada. But yeah, it was all the right conditions for Renault, and maybe they've turned their engines up. Who knows? Hopefully that's a sign of great things to come. Paul Ricard is another sort of power circuit, you could say.
I think that's what we need. We need to see them back it up there as well. And if they can come home strong, qualify strong around France, I think we can start to really get a little bit excited.
Yeah, definitely. If we can see some, like you said, back it up at Paul Ricard. I think Renault, if you're a Renault fan, I think the Renaissance is starting to happen. So fingers crossed for that. So first light done, 4 to go. And you know where we're going with this one. But the second light of the night is the Magnussen blow up, and it was broadcast all over the world feed. But you've heard it. You've heard the radio call. What do you think? Did you just laugh?
I was a bit gobsmacked at first when I heard it on the world feed.
So was I, actually.
If anyone out there hasn't heard it, basically the long and the short of it is he got on the radio. It was like lap 54, 20 laps to go in the race, and he was complaining to his race engineer, and obviously the whole pit crew listens to it, and he said this is the worst experience he has had in a race car ever.
Yeah.
So he was like, and then his engineer said, well, yes, it for us as well. And, the guys were up all night fixing the car, basically saying that you broke in qualifying.
Yeah.
Because once again, if anyone missed it, he did put it into the Wall of Champions in the dying
Stages
seconds or dying minute of...
the checker flag was out.
That's right. So he slammed it, and he slammed it hard. he hit the wall and bounced across and then just destroyed his car on the opposite side in the pit wall. So I don't think his pit crew would have been very happy with him at that stage.
No, well, Gunther wasn't.
And that's what happened. It resulted in Gunther coming on the radio and telling him basically, enough is enough.
He said, enough is enough with his accent. And then there was a bit of silence from Magnussen. And as he, had the chance to get on the radio, he goes, what does that mean? And then Magnussen, and then he's like, enough is enough, bro. It's not a good situation for any of us. Just stop. And that was the last he talked for a long time.
It really was like a little spoiled brat being scalded by his father, wasn't it, when Gunther came on?
It was. I mean, I got a feel for Magnussen. Like, I get what he was talking about. He started he was on for a good running qualifying. He stuffed that up. He started in the pit lane. It was funny because the laps leading up to that, he was just getting lapped. He was getting blue flagged, and then the engineer came over and said, blue flag Leclerc. And that's what set it off. I think he just had enough. And that's when we heard the radio message come over on the world feed. But he did apologise after the checkered flag. So, I think he's gone back and, the team have talked about it. Apparently there was a last-minute setup that they just decided to use that didn't work. So
the most ironic part about it all, really, about his blow-up was, I mean, he didn't just ruin his car and, his side of the garage. He actually ruined it for Grosjean as well. So he ruined it all completely for the team, because Grosjean was pretty much the next car behind him.
Yeah.
And he missed out consequently in possibly making it into Q3. They said he was on a pretty good lap, but we never got told the exact lap time or if he actually would have made it into Q3 or not. So,
well, he was pretty miffed. His radio message after that was like, just my luck, basically. Like it always happens to me type thing.
Did you hear what he said? He said, my luck is like Olympic bad luck, he said.
Oh, Olympic bad luck.
I was laughing when I heard that.
I didn't hear that one, but that's a good one. But
yeah, that's what I thought.
It's a odd. I've never really seen Magnussen in that light before, so it was interesting.
Hey man, I'm a big K-Mag fan, but that was a really shit go, the way he came on the radio and, blaming his team basically after he knows that it was all on him in qualifying that made the mistake. And we didn't hear from him again, as you said, until the end of the race basically. And I think the next time we did hear from him was when he apologised and said he totally understood and pretty much asked for forgiveness, I think, after he had about 15 laps to think about it.
Yeah, well, he had a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I like I said, I feel for him, but at the same time, you kind of put yourself there at the end of the day. So
he had a weekend to forget.
Yeah, I guess that happens in the heat of the moment. You just get fed up with it. But I don't know why he had to make his feelings known then and then. It could have waited, but anyway,
that's
it created some drama.
In this day and age, all of these drivers know by now, that it's a matter of minutes before that radio message goes worldwide if they've said anything worthy.
But with F1 TV, there's unfiltered now, so everything's heard.
Like, you don't need to wait for the next day or that afternoon or that evening. It's instant. It's out there.
Yeah, so... Yeah, well, because, some of them use it to sort of try and influence decisions.
Oh,
100%. Get things looked at that might not normally be looked at, but, that's what happens. And I think, I don't know, K-Mag, just a weird blow-up from him. But anyway, Light 2, done and dusted. We've got 3 to go, and we're getting there. We're getting close to the one you want to talk about. Light number 3.
Stroll, right?
Yeah, Stroll. 17th
Racing
to
point.
9th.
Well, we have to start by saying that it was his 11th in a row out in Q1. I always get that mixed up.
Yeah, don't worry, I do that too.
And
Q1.
Granted, Perez also was out in Q1.
Yeah, is there a problem at Force India? But at race pace, clearly not. They've got some work to do in qualifying.
Well, I think Perez clearly made a mistake. He locked up coming into the turn 10, the hairpin, and I think he probably lost 0.2 to 0.3 of a second there, they said. So that would have easily got him into Q2. Whereas Stroll, he doesn't know what Q2 looks like.
Yeah, well, he definitely needs to work on his qualifying run.
However,
yeah,
come Sunday,
different story.
You know how hard this is for me to say, but he did have a great race. This is
why I wanted to put it as a point, because I was like, he had a fantastic race. You have to say.
You can't fault him for the race that he had on Sunday. There was a little bit of a laughing moment when someone said that I think it was Brundle. He said Stroll's out there driving like he's paying for the tyres. Like
yes,
he's not.
He did say that.
I thought that was a great quote, saying, "Come on, son, push a bit harder," you know. But he made it work. He made those tyres last. He got onto the strategy. He passed a few people, which is nice to see for a change.
Yeah, you don't really see. Well, he said in an interview with Johnny that he's been passing people in the Williams. He just never saw it. I don't know how much you want to listen into that, but
that's like saying, "Yeah, I pass trees."
Yeah, okay.
In Williams, no massive feat, passing a Williams these days. So.
Yeah, well.
What are you talking about? I didn't pass anything. I passed 6 trees on the back straight.
Yeah. Did you see all those people I went past? It's like they were standing still. We're taking the mickey out of him, but I have to say, even as a anti-Stroll person, I have to say he did really well. He impressed me. He kept it clean. He kept it out of the wall. He scored some points. He did. And he beat Perez. Perez only got 12th.
Fair and square too. There was no excuses that I know of for Perez.
No, I just wonder if there's, some power issue. Well, that's the other thing. He was on an old power unit as well.
6 races old power unit after his fresh one blew up on the out lap. He didn't even get to run it for 3 or 4 laps. He just went out in beginning of Q3, and it was a pretty spectacular blow up too, like flames and everything.
Yeah.
We don't see that much anymore.
Q1, remember. He didn't get to Q3.
Oh, no, sorry. I meant FP3. No,
you're right.
That's
it wasn't
when the blow-up
FP3.
happened. It was FP3.
Yeah, I do remember seeing those images. Yeah, I don't watch many of the practices, but I do remember seeing that happen. But, yeah, so he's on an old power unit, so he's down about 2 or 3 tenths compared to what Perez might have. And he beat him by 3 positions. And as someone who, when I first saw Stroll come into the sport and found he was a pay driver and I was giving him a hard time, I have to pay that performance in Canada. That was a good run. I can't, like you said, I can't fault it. He's beaten Perez, who I think's a better driver, but Stroll outperformed him on the weekend, no doubt.
Oh, it's definitely one of his better races, that's for sure. He needed a race like this too, because that is a new car, don't forget. I mean, they are still probably ironing it out and getting to know it, and they probably don't even know how it works properly yet. That engine with Mercedes, I don't know if you heard or not, but it was rumoured that it was putting out 1,040 horsepower. Like, wow, we're back over the 1,000 horsepower barrier again with these new Mercs.
Yeah, well, it doesn't take much in F1 for them. Like, you give an engineer a limit, they're going to... you give them barriers or something, somewhere they can't go outside of. They're going to test every single thing that they can. It's just going to keep happening, I think, if we keep trying to drop it under the 1,000 limit.
Well, I think the power to weight ratio is still probably got a fair bit to catch up on the back in the 80s turbo cars when they were 1,000 horsepower then, but the cars were so much lighter then.
Well, it's like Group B in Rally, the turbo era there, they banned those as well because they were just so ridiculously quick.
But you can bet your bottom dollar, these cars now are putting the power down on the ground a lot better than they were in the 80s.
Oh, I bet you they are. But yeah, not that's a quick engine, and yeah, forcing. What is it now? It's not force. Racing Point.
Racing Point.
Oh, it's hard to get around, but yeah, Racing Point. They seem to have gone back a really long way, but you know, we've seen Renault get back up there, McLaren get back up there now. So I don't know if it'll be too long before Racing Point are back on point, so to speak.
No pun intended.
Yeah,
it's quite surprising to me that they are struggling so much, because they've been notorious over the last 2 to 3 years as Force India, probably as far as bang for buck goes.
Yeah.
Down pit lane, the team with the smallest budget and the results that they get out of it.
Yeah.
So you would think now that same team with such a massive cash injection would be doing so much better, but I don't know if they're just at a point at the moment where they don't know what they're doing with their money, or
it's probably because of the whole shake-up and the thing that Perez had to do with the with the consortium and just all that BS that goes on. So I'm sure there's still a lot of things, like you said, being ironed out. But
yeah, definitely
that's some progress. Stroll has shown some progress here today.
I think more than the team, Stroll has just shown a bit of progress in Stroll to me. So
yeah, consistency I think is going to be his hardest thing to keep, and we'll see what he can do in Paul Ricard. If he can back that up, as much as we like to see Renault back up their performance, I think Stroll needs to do a similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, what's that 3. Now we're on to the 4th light. We're almost at race lights out. But we're going to talk about a few quick ones. Kubica's future as an F1. He was lapped on lap 8, by the way. And Gasly, there's rumours of Gasly being replaced already. Let's talk about that one.
Well, I heard that today, and that's why I said to you I wanted to just quickly mention it. That my ears pricked up when I heard that he's pretty much been given till the summer break. So I think we're going to see a Red Bull driver change during the summer break, because he really he just doesn't grasp by both hands what's given to him. Like this weekend, Verstappen had a shocker in Q2, so he was out. This was Gasly's chance. He was further up the grid.
Yeah.
He was on the soft tyres, and what happened? He ended up nowhere. Verstappen beat him anyway by a long way.
Verstappen was 5th. Gasly was 8th. So that's not good enough.
He's just not showing any pace in that car at all.
No, he's behind the Renaults. He's behind the 2 Renaults, which is really bad. So Stroll was the next one behind him, even. But you're right. Like Gasly, he's been consistently outperformed through all the qualifying sessions this year, consistently beaten. He's been, like you said, given that opportunity this weekend, and he didn't perform at all.
The only excuse I've heard is that he lost a lot of time because he was stuck behind Stroll for so long.
At the start. Was that because Stroll was doing that long run?
Because he went for a long time. I think it was well into the lap 40s by the time he got rid of those tyres, Stroll.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But my point is that Dan was also behind him at some point too, and he passed him and moved on up the road.
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to make it happen sometimes. This is not Monaco. You can pass around here.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it is a street circuit, but we saw plenty of passing, and he's in the bloody Red Bull.
Look at what Max did by starting 9th. He smashed Gasly. He beat both of the Renaults, whereas Gasly just went backwards and backwards and backwards. That just tells you the whole story right there.
He can't defend his position, clearly. That's obviously a problem. Also, the quickest lap of the race from Verstappen, a 1:14.76. Gasly, a 1:16.1. So
wow, okay.
That's a big difference. And the average speed from Max was 209.98 kilometers per hour. Gasly, 206.147. So that's a big difference.
we all
3
know,
kilometres.
we all know how the good doctor over there at Red Bull can act when things aren't going the way he likes it.
Yeah, we've seen it happen to Kvyat.
Which is it's quite ironic, because are we going to go full circle here? Because if they get rid of Gasly, who are they bringing in? It's either going to be Albon or Kvyat.
Kvyat, yeah.
And
I would have to bring in Kvyat for sure.
That's what I was just about to say. Surely they're not going to bring in Albon, because they've just learnt.
I just want to point out before you go any further, irony means not a coincidence. Just people always use that word the wrong way, and it irks me so badly.
Okay.
An irony is like it's unexpected. It's not Kvyat being kicked out and then being put back in after someone else gets kicked out. That's ironic. So yeah, sorry, I just had to.
So is that not what I said?
No, you did. No, you used the word correctly. A lot of people don't.
Oh, I thought you were schooling me then. I'm thinking, hang on, I just said that.
No. I was praising your use of it because it was perfect.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
That's all right. The grammar police is done.
Imagine that. Like, what kind of story is that going to be?
No, I know.
Kvyat does actually end up back in that seat.
Where'd you hear this Gasly thing? Was it on a website? Was it on Twitter? Was it where?
Let's
I haven't seen it.
That I heard it from one of my sources, and my ears pricked up, and that's why I'm putting it down as a rumour at this stage.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I heard some. I don't know actually where I heard it, to be honest, but Kubica. I think even they were talking about it on Sky. His future with Williams. I mean, that was certainly been put up in the air as well. So, because he hasn't had there was a horrible race from him, really. Lapped on lap 8. He only beat Albon because Albon retired. But, yeah, do you think he's got a future in F1 past this season if he gets that far?
Not at all. I think Kubica and Gasly are 100% the drivers most under pressure, possibly closely followed by
Giovinazzi. Yeah, he had a spin, didn't he?
He's not having a good time of it.
I thought he had a decent weekend up until that point because he was in front of Raikkonen, a few other, like he started good, except that spin, that didn't really help.
I think he ended up finishing 12th, was it? Gio?
No, 12th was Perez. Giovinazzi, 13th.
Okay, because that spin probably cost him at least a couple of positions, because I was just wondering if he might have even jagged 10th without that spin, because it was quite costly. He almost hit the wall. It was coming out of turn 2. Yeah,
he was very lucky just to pull it up, really. Because what did he start? He started 12th, so he went back down one spot. I don't know if he would have got 10th, but I think he was definitely on for... He was at least fighting for 10th. But yeah. But like
back to your mate Kubica. He's not showing anything. To me, he's not showing any improvement. He's not showing that he's handling it. I mean, Russell beat him by 53 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a smashing. That's not just, he's a little bit quicker than you. I think you said Kubica got lapped on lap 8.
I made a point of that because I was like, that's a Williams and that's lap 8. That was the first. Yeah, he was getting lapped on lap 8.
I made the note that for some reason, opposite to you, I made the note that Russell was lapped on lap 13.
Right. So,
but even that's telling in its own that he was 5 laps worth up the road, if you know what I mean. This is at the start of the race, and that's how far back Kubica already was.
Yeah, he was on the back foot straight away. So
Vettel passes Kubica on lap 8, and then he passes Russell 5 laps later. So more than 50% of the time later. It's like...
But Albon, remember, Albon had the problem at the front. He got squeezed front wing off. So he goes to the back of the grid, goes in pits, puts on new tyres in the front wing, and then at some point he gets back in front of Kubica. And then because he retired, Kubica then finishes in front of Albon. But, so, That's just too slow. Way too slow.
That's what I was saying to you in our Monaco podcast, that I think I would rather see Chadwick, is it? The girl that they've signed up to their...
testing?
I'd rather see them chuck her in that seat and give her some seat time, and let's just see what she can do.
Yeah, well, she looks like Stroll, so...
I just think that it would be more exciting and more interesting watching her develop, in that other Williams. Whereas to me at the moment, there's just no story there with Kubica anymore. That whole story that surrounded him about his return to Formula One and stuff. I think all of that's dead and buried now, pretty much. Don't you think?
Well, yeah, because Herbert said something. He said once you come back from something like that, it's going to be really hard to then match what you were. What's the boy that lost his legs? I had his name last week.
Billy Munger.
Billy Munger. He won his first race since returning, and that's good news for him. And I think he might be able to get somewhere because he's done a lot of work with the setup and the way he controls the car. He's had to relearn how to drive a car, basically.
Correct. I think he will be like Zanardi.
And I think it's an amazing thing what he's done. But Kubica, he's a little bit older. He's come back from his massive injury. I've had similar thing happen to me in my life, and you always want to get there, but you never
told me you were a Formula One driver.
You just can never match it. I think it's just a fact of life. I don't think it's physically possible. So. Yeah.
And the biggest thing too, it was 10 years ago. It was a long time between drinks. Whereas your point with Billy Munger is
he did it so quickly, but he's so young.
Right.
That's
right
the other
too.
thing. He's not even 20 yet, so I don't even know how old he is. He's pretty young, but
I kind of said it to you before while you were talking, but I think he's going to be a lot like Zanardi. He learnt to read completely how to drive with his hands, basically. He's got no legs after his big accident that he had. So I think Billy Munger might use that as inspiration and go down that path. And I don't know, I'm sure he must be a mentor or something for him, but
I think that's the difference. Munger, he's still so young. He has had to relearn, but he's got time he's got age on his side, basically. Kubica doesn't. And I think that old adage that says it's sort of hard to teach an old dog new tricks, I think sort of sets up Kubica perfectly here.
I think so.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, we don't think, Kubica is got much of a future in F1, unfortunately. But that's the fourth light done. They're the rumours. Fifth light. Have a guess what it is. Do you want to have a guess? Does everyone want to have a guess out there that's listening? What haven't we mentioned yet?
Are you going to talk about the Plan A and Plan B radio talk?
No. No? What? That was weird, but anyway. Sebastian Vettel being robbed of a win. I don't think either of us agree with the FIA, but let's discuss this one. What were your first reactions when you saw lap 48 unfold and then you saw it was under investigation? What went through your head?
Very first thing that went through my head is, oh my God, not again.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that went through my head, was like Sebastian bottling it again. That was just...
Hamilton has come out and said that he forced him into the mistake. I think that because he was coming up on lap traffic, I think it was just the fact that the air would have been disturbed. He wasn't expecting the car to behave the way it was when the back end flicked out and he made the mistake. That's sort of what caught him unstuck. I don't think it was so much that Hamilton was up his gearbox giving him issues, but that's just my opinion.
For me, it's a bit of 50-50. Like, for sure, if Hamilton wasn't right there hounding him lap after lap after lap after lap, I mean, I'm sure Seb would have had an easier time of it, and he probably would have went into that corner a little bit more cautiously. But he was pushing hard to obviously, when someone's up your gearbox lap after lap, obviously when you're coming up to lap a car, it kind of presents an opportunity.
Yeah.
For an overtake, or so you really have to be aware. So I'm sure he was attacking to try and get past those cars quickly. But like you said, with the aero balance and the aero wash just coming into turn 3, and that's a really tricky corner too, because it's almost a blind entry. Like if you've raced it on sim racing this week, we're actually doing Canada, so I've done a lot of laps around there, and then coming into that turn, the braking point is quite hard to spot as it is, and you just kind of gear down.
It's very bumpy.
That's right, and you gear down just 2, and it's a 4th gear chicane, so it's quite a quick, and it's a little bit off camber as well. So I think all of that played into Seb's rear end just losing it, and then obviously he had his venture into the grass and bounced back onto the track.
Yeah, well, when I saw that it was being under investigation, I was just like, surely he didn't do anything wrong. I don't know. I thought the FIA wouldn't penalise him at all, because watching that replay 100,000 times, what else was he meant to do, really?
Well, let me ask you, as I've titled it there, do you think Seb and Ferrari were robbed?
Yeah, I do.
See,
I think they were robbed, because I think because Nico watched, he had a video and he said that the FIA made the right call. He also said something else, that Seb should have put his head down and stopped complaining. But if you watch the video on F1 TV, he complained twice and just raced those 10 laps without saying a word. So he did put his head down. But apart from that, let's say Seb came into that corner and was spinning out of control. Hamilton, at that moment, decided to try and go the same line that he did, go underneath, which is the racing line. But because Seb was out of control, he crashed into Hamilton, and they both would have been out. You wouldn't have given Seb an unsafe re-entry or something. It would have been a racing incident, and it would have been the end of it. Then they would have both been out of it. Because if there was if that wall wasn't there, a lot of people have said this, Hamilton probably would have gone around him and gotten in front anyway. But the wall is there. That's the track. If that was Monaco, similar thing somewhere, I don't know, the swimming pool or coming out of the tunnel. Where else do you go? What can you do? And there's grass too. You got to remember, these are slick tyres. Slick tyres on grass, there's absolutely nothing to create friction or traction. He's going to be sliding all over the place. So, yeah, I don't agree with the fact, because they said he turned his wheel to the left. I don't know if you heard that in the...
Yes.
I watched it, and he does, but it's as he sort of gets back traction on the road, because I don't know if you've ever flicked a car from gravel or grass onto the bloody tarmac. It catches so suddenly. And I just think he was trying to get the car back under control, full lock, trying to get the thing, because his rear end would have been slipping. I just think they made the wrong call.
Well,
that's
just
my
going
opinion.
back to the
I don't know what you
question. Think. For me, I think now that I'm calmed down after the race, like immediately following the race and that incident, and as soon as the FIA handed the penalty down, I was livid.
Yeah, you were.
I
wanted to do the podcast then and there. I was like, let's go. Let's talk about it.
It would have been I was fired up. But now that I've calmed down and, read things and whatever and had a better look at it, the question I asked you about, do you think Seb and Ferrari were robbed? Yeah. If I answer that question, I will probably say, I don't think Seb and Ferrari were robbed, but I think we, as F1 fans, were robbed.
Yep.
I think we were robbed of a great finish after such a great build-up. We were all so excited to see how this last 10, 15 laps were going to play out, because we could all see Hamilton was really hounding Vettel, but we didn't... once that was handed down, that penalty, the rest of the race just didn't matter. It just didn't matter, did it?
Yeah, those 12 laps were 10 or whatever.
What was the point? We may as well just wave the flag right there and then.
Yeah.
But going back to it, I think with the discussions we've had in Discord and with a few of our guys and our mate Zen, who was on our Monaco podcast, and he's saying that, you know, it's the wording that needs to be changed in this in the rule book, because going by the letter of the law, the FIA handed down the penalty that the leanest penalty that they could hand down in that situation.
It's the 5 seconds, yeah.
That's right. So I think this again highlights that the rule book needs to be rewritten. Remember going back to Gasly when he had to start from pit lane for something that he did in FP2? Was it in was it Bahrain or
yeah, I can't remember exactly
Baku?
where it was, but
I think
I know
might have been.
I remember the incident. Yeah, and
So-
it was like, why are you penalising a guy for something that is going to wreck his race? I think it was for impeding someone. I can't remember, but yeah.
For me, the whole this whole incident, it's been discussed and argued and debated to death over the last few days, and it probably will be for the next
week,
6 months.
Yeah.
The way F1 fans are, when you're taking the Vettel stand or the Hamilton stand.
Yeah.
But on a grander scale, for me, this just highlights a bigger issue of the rule system of Formula One. Now, there was a thing brought up where in 2017, almost the exact same incident happened between Hamilton and Ricciardo in Monaco.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen it, go look it up on YouTube, especially now that everyone's been searching it up. It'll come up one of the first main searches. Coming into the swimming pool chicane, is it after the bridge? When you come out of the tunnel, Hamilton outbrakes himself, cuts the chicane, then comes across, and then he deliberately comes across to the right-hand side of the track, squeezing Ricciardo against the wall. And now, that was even a lot more delayed reaction than what Seb had. Hamilton had full control of his car, and he purposefully squeezed Ricciardo against the barriers. Now, in this instance, there was no penalty given. So, my biggest point here is...
That's the massive issue, is the precedent set.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, my biggest point here is, you can't even go back to the steward, Emmanuel, something, what his name was, I forget it right now, and say, yeah, but why did you let that one off and you gave a penalty? You can't say that because they're all different stewards at all of these races. They have these guest stewards at every race. I think it's high time Formula One employs
stewards.
A board of 3, 4, 5 stewards who that is their main job for that whole season ahead. That way, if they set a precedence, they stick to it and they can relate that incident to this incident. Whereas if I rule something, you can't go ahead on the next race and then kind of play it off what I ruled. You know what I'm trying to say? Whereas if I'm making all the decisions going forward in the 20 races, I've got kind
There's
of
going to be
the
some
mindset.
Consistency there amongst your
Yes,
decisions. Yeah,
that's the word. Yeah, we need some consistency. Look, I'm getting fired up again.
No, but it's understandable because the rules are rules. And Mark Priestley said it. Nico Rosberg said it. A few other people have said it. That by the letter of the law, he had to be penalised, but it wasn't the right thing to do. And they all sort of say that. And your point about F1 fans being robbed of a race, yes, we certainly were. Whether or not Seb and Ferrari were robbed, that's up for contention, but I think we were. The wording needs to be changed. But I think at some point as well, there needs to be some consideration, just like the circumstances surrounding. Because I think it was Zen who said it, that rule was there, so, every John, Dick and Harry didn't just go off, cut the corner and then come back onto the racing line, to gain positions and block people, basically. That's not what happened here.
Remember back in Kota, a few years ago when Verstappen cut the chicane and overtook Raikkonen?
I do.
Pretty much on the last lap, I think. And then
it was the last
he actually got pulled out of the driver's room because he ended up finishing third because of that move.
Yep.
Now, 100% that deserved the penalty because he cut the track to gain advantage.
Yeah,
exactly. Every Tom, Dick and Harry knows that, right? Whereas in this particular case, it's not like Seb was being pressured by Hamilton and then kind of panicked and said, I'll cut the chicane here to stay ahead of him.
Yeah, that's what happened.
He's lucky that as Seb said himself on the radio call, he's lucky that he didn't hit the wall himself.
Yeah,
like there's nothing.
Because I agree,
nothing
he
intentional
showed
about it at
great
all.
Restraint to give Hamilton room to fit his car there. Because they say, he was looking in his mirror, he knew he was there, so he was purposely blocking, turning to the right or left, whatever it was, to block the line. But I think I'd be looking in my mirror to make sure, because I know Hamilton's going to be on my ass. I know there's a wall coming up. I want to stay in the race, so I'm going to be trying my best to stay out of the wall, and I'm going to know Hamilton's there, so I'm going to give him room if I can. He did that. Race continued. Just let's go.
Look, at the end of the day, that particular incident itself, and if Seb had control or not, I'm of the firm belief that he would have had a little bit of control, but he definitely didn't have 100% control. I mean, let's not forget, these two guys have got 9 world championships between them. So, they know what they're doing. Even when they're looking out of control, I think in hindsight, Seb probably could have kept his car maybe another 30, 40 centimetres to the left to give Hamilton that little bit of extra room. But he would have had to slow down that extra much. Yeah. Now, this is a fight for the lead of the race. No 4-time world champion is going to say, oh shit, I went off the track. Oh, okay, here, off you go. Like, it's not...
Yeah, it's not going to happen, no.
We're not just racing friendly go-karts, on a Saturday afternoon here. This is the pinnacle of motorsport. You've got the best drivers in the world there. So, you got to let them race.
Yeah. And that's why I want to go back to the point is, if he was spinning out and out of control and Hamilton did the same thing and they both crashed, it's not a penalty because of he's in control or not. If he's in control or not, he didn't effing crash into Hamilton. He kept it out of the wall. He kept it out of Hamilton, and they both continued on. I think that should be the end of the discussion. Basically, let's just race from here. I don't know. The FIA, it's not Hamilton's fault because Mercedes, if it had been reversed, Ferrari would have done the same thing and complained. If it had been me, I would have asked my team to make a report. But yeah, your point about having consistent stewards is a very good one, and it's one that I've not heard anyone else really mention before. So maybe it is time to have some stewards on the payroll. I
mean, you've got referees, right? The stewards are the referees of our sport.
Yeah, you're right. They are.
So, and Formula One is not short of money. So, because people might say, yeah, but what are they going to do? Fly these stewards to every single race?
Is the FIA that steward role, is that a volunteer thing?
Couldn't tell you if it's paid or volunteered. I know that they have this, in inverted commas, guest steward at every race, be it an ex-driver or someone involved previously with motorsport.
Yeah.
But it's the old saying, just because someone is an all-time great at a sport like, rugby league, for example, doesn't mean necessarily they're going to be the best coach.
Yeah.
Like Wayne Bennett was never a world beater in rugby league, but he'll probably go down as one of the best ever coaches in rugby league.
Yeah.
So let's just pick a steward board. Let's pick 3 or 5. It obviously needs to be an odd number, rather than just one person. And then they are the only ones who make the decision. I mean, let's be real. In this day and age, they don't even need to be live there at the race. There's so much technology and video feeds, and that's what they're watching anyway. Even when they're there, they're making these decisions off TV. So they just need to be in a room somewhere every race day. That's their job.
I'm 100% behind that. I think that's a good call.
And to take that further with the rules, they need to bring in some sort of where it's not so black and white. I mean, I understand that Formula One rules are quite, in some instances, written and
So
left for
they can't
interpretation.
create loopholes and funny ways around it, like the engineering rules and stuff, yeah.
But you got to allow for common sense, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
Like I said, this was the least amount of penalty that could be issued in this instance once the stewards decided in their own mind
that it was a penalty.
That it was
an infringement.
Once they decide that, then they have to look at, okay, so what can we give him?
Yeah.
You know, which also has slipped a lot of people's mind, which I just heard yesterday.
Yeah.
He got 2 points on his license for that as well.
He did.
Yeah. That's wrong.
I agree.
There was nothing intentional about it.
No, that's exactly right. If it was Hamilton pushing him into a mistake or the wash aero from the cars in front that caused the back end to come out, he didn't do that on purpose, did he?
No.
I
mean,
there is no way in the world Vettel would have gone, at this moment, lap 48, I'm going to cut that chicane and come across and block Hamilton's run to try and, because I know he's in the window for the tyres or something. It just doesn't make any logical sense.
Back in Baku last year or the year before, when Seb deliberately drove into the side of Hamilton under the safety car,
that's different.
Now that deserves 2 points on your license because you're being
Jack,
stupid.
did he? No, but that was the interesting thing. Watching
he got community service.
Yeah, exactly. But watching Seb in the post race, what's it called? The interviews. In the press conference. Compare that to his body language in the press conference after that Baku race when he's asked about hitting Hamilton. It was so different. Because Baku was like, everyone knows I've hit him on purpose, but I'm not going to admit to it.
That's right.
But here, he was talking openly about the back end went out. I went across the grass. I had no traction. I was doing my best to stay out of the wall. I looked in my mirror, and there he was. And like, I honestly believe that Seb didn't do anything malicious at all. Where his body language after Baku, it was so obvious that he didn't want it. He was hiding it because he did it on purpose. So you're right. Common sense needs to come into play. The Stewards is a good one. The 2 points is stupid. I don't know why he got 2 points.
There was so many things that kind of just steamrolled into this whole incident, like starting with Seb making another mistake under pressure, which actually makes me worried for him now because it's really becoming...
He's done a few, hasn't he?
Yes, it's really becoming a consistent trait of his now, isn't it? Like, you almost come to expect it now. That's what I said to you. That was the very first thing that came to my mind was like, oh no, not again, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but you don't see Hamilton making these mistakes, do you? So...
No, it was very rare for him to even make a mistake because he's crashed in practice. Yeah, that's so rare to see Hamilton do that.
Do you know when the last time Hamilton did that?
I don't, actually.
Brazil 2017, I think it was qualifying or it might have been practice, but that's the last time I can remember Hamilton making an actual driver error.
2017.
So not last year, the year before.
That's a good record. For someone who's always pushing the limits on track, that's
exactly
bloody good. Well,
now if this incident, we will get off it now. I know. I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
If this incident was between Stroll and Grosjean was Vettel and Stroll was Hamilton,
I don't think it would have been.
I think the penalty still would have been given, but I don't think there would have been the backlash or anything from anyone. Everyone would have just accepted it.
You're right, but I don't think the penalty would have been given. I think it would have been no further action required. That's what I think would have happened. because
I guess we're speaking in hindsights and ifs and buts, but
yeah, but you know, something at the front of this affected the outcome of the race. This affected the podium, and it wasn't the right call in my mind. That's how I see it.
I think as F1 fans, as a fan of Formula One, not a Mercedes fan, not a Ferrari fan, not a Red Bull fan, but just a fan of Formula One itself, the bit that really burnt us the most is that we finally were breaking the Mercedes winning streak.
Yeah.
And now, even when Mercedes aren't winning, they're still winning.
But how good was the drama at the end? How good was seeing Vettel push his car back into the pits, back into Parc Fermé? He wanted to stay away from the podium. He storming off into the hospitality suite, and then
I was cheering him on. I was saying I would be doing exactly the same thing. Stuff you. I'm not talking to anyone. Piss off.
But how good is it to see passion like that from someone who's won 4 world championships, and this is just one race, and he had that much passion inside him. I mean, I'd be doing the same thing. And then I loved it. Went up and switched the sign positions.
That was the moment of the weekend.
Yeah.
I love that.
Apparently, if he had have taken the number 1 all the way back to his car and put it in front of his car, it would have made it official.
What do you mean?
Well, there's apparently some regulation about those signs. So if he had have actually put it in front of his car, it would have been like on the books.
Okay, well, I've never heard that before.
Yeah, I was reading it on Reddit. Reddit's a great place. Hang on, I've actually still got it open. Yeah, I think I'll mention the regulation if I can find it. But it was an interesting one. I can't actually find it now. But yeah, they were talking about how if he had to just taken it back, according to this regulation, to his car, it would have made it an official result. So there you go. But yeah, I thought it was good to see some drama at the end of the race anyway. It's always...
it showed the human element, didn't it? Because
Yeah.
we don't really get to see much of Seb on a personal note as much as, say, like Lewis puts himself out there in social media and stuff. Like, he's got 5 world championships, Seb's got 4, but realistically as fans, you don't really get to hear or see much about Vettel. And I hated him when he was Webber's teammate. But since Webber's retirement, I've actually come to warm more and more to Seb.
Yeah, I was the same. I used to hate Vettel with a passion, but that's changed over the years. And it's funny, I do the same thing with a lot of people, but Seb as a likeable character at the moment. That rule, by the way, FIA Rule 3.16, if anyone wants to go look it up later. So...
Okay, that's very interesting because that was I love that moment when he moved that over and just left it there. And then did you notice that I thought someone would run over and switch him back, but no one switched him back.
No, that's what I mean. Like no one touched it, but anyway, it was some good drama at the end of a already good race that was ruined in the end, I think. But hey, we've got Paul Ricard next. Hopefully, Ferrari can get their upcomings. Upcomings, is that the word? I don't know. Payback. That's it.
Yeah, well, what more can we say on that incident? I mean, it was the major talking point of the race, but
yeah,
I mean...
I think because every outlet's beaten it to death. We're sort of the last... We're not first, we're sort of last out there, but we're right. I'd like to point that out. We're not so quick that we speculating. We know we have the results at the end of the day. But yeah, it has been beaten to death. But I think it's good to get our opinions out there and get it off your chest at least. Oh, and another thing I'm going to get off my chest is don't forget to go subscribe, give us 5 stars on iTunes, podcast, Podbean, FM. There's a whole bunch of it. Just Lights Out F1. You can even Google it anywhere you want, and you'll find us there. We're still getting
get onto
Google.
Our Facebook page.
Yeah, Facebook's the new one. You can become our 5th like. So there's 4 of you that like it. So thanks to those guys that have already beaten the curve. But yeah, we've got a Facebook page.
So we've quietly brought up a Lights Out F1 Facebook page. So get out there, search it, find it, like it. every episode will go once we go live, it will go on there. So give us a share,
and let us know what you think as well. You can leave your comments there. You can put questions to us there if you want. So it's a good way to stay in contact with us while we're not doing the podcast during those other weeks that we're off and doing the racing, or I'm doing the streaming, or Aussie's organising his FNL1 league. We lead busy lives sometimes. But yeah, that's the 5 lights out, 5 lights out, 5 lights on. And they're all our 5 light points. I hope you enjoyed them. Let us know what you think. In the comments somewhere. Doesn't matter where. Podbean, iTunes, Facebook. But let us know.
I think we're at a point now, guys, where we're looking to get some feedback from you, your input on some of the points we're talking about. And
yeah, it would be good to know.
Just a bit of interaction would be nice.
Yeah, if you're into it. If you're into that sort of thing. I know some people on live streams especially just like to sit there and listen and watch, but I get it. But if there's some of you out there that particularly want to let us know, that'll be good. What's up next in the podcast?
We are up to the checkered flag, just to go over a few more of the talking points from the weekend, just quickly.
I think what the Leclerc strategy was a big one that I think you and I wanted to mention.
Well, I did say to you, didn't I, that it's becoming a weekly segment, the Ferrari strategy talk.
Yeah.
I mean, what were they thinking, leaving
know.
him out again in just for the sake of leaving him out for 5-6 extra laps?
Well, I think they might have been, after hearing him talk to the interview, I think they were hoping for a safety car, basically. I think that's what they were grasping for and waiting for.
It just seems to me like this Ferrari strategy team constantly keeps banking on hoping for a safety car. It's just getting ridiculous. I mean, because they came on the radio and they said to Leclerc, we are going long. So long to me means that we're going to try to stretch the shit out of these tyres for another 10, 15, maybe 20 laps. Long to me doesn't mean we're just going to go an extra 5 or 6 laps.
Yeah, and especially you're right. And doing the 5 or 6 laps was such a waste because he was leading the race at that point, but he was so much slower than the rest of them. He was losing so much time.
When he comes back out after 5 or 6 laps, he's in no man's land. Yeah. If they had actually just pitted him the next lap after Vettel,
he would have been
in hindsight, he probably would have ended up second.
Well, yeah.
And Vettel would have got third probably.
Yeah, that's right. But he would have been at that point of the race, he would have been a lot closer to putting pressure on Hamilton than...
That's true too.
Where he was after the 5 laps. Because I think I was looking at the gap, I think it was like 12, 13 seconds. So, and I think he needed 17 seconds for the pit stop. So, yeah, he needed 4 seconds. I think that's what they were trying to get. But, he was out there for so long that the gap came down to nothing in the end. And
I don't know when they're going to wake up to themselves and just really shake up this strategy department at Ferrari, because it's really starting to piss me off.
Yeah, they got Vettel on point, but Leclerc, it was like watching Raikkonen be put through the shredder last year. Same thing with Leclerc now, so it's a shame.
Like racing for one car again, exactly. Because your point about hassling Hamilton is actually spot on, because if Leclerc was up Hamilton's gearbox, he might not have been able to put as much pressure on Vettel.
Exactly.
Even if the incident still happened, he might have been 6 seconds behind Vettel instead of up his clacker, and Vettel still could have won if Ferrari had Leclerc there to use him.
Yeah, these are all hearsay and
exactly, but
conjecture.
That's what we're here for.
Hindsight, but yeah, exactly. That's hindsight's what we're for. But yeah, Ferrari, end of the day, just the wrong call. The wrong call.
The other thing I just wanted to quickly mention was quite a few drivers just had a pretty crap weekend this weekend, I thought. We've already mentioned Gasly. We've mentioned Magnussen. He had a weekend to forget. Full stop. Kimi, for me, has been a real surprise the last 2 races. He's just been nowhere.
I wonder if it's the car, though, and not just Kimi. I wonder if...
we know what Kimi's capable of. We have to think it is the car. But we also know that sometimes when things aren't going Kimi's way, he's one of those guys who just kind of doesn't give a shit and he just goes around for 70 laps, you know?
Yeah.
So, I think...
I mean, he said he's staying because he likes racing, so he's obviously still enjoying it. Even if it isn't a slower car.
He had a same issue that Sainz had. He had a visor tear off stuck
Into
in
the
one of his brake discs.
Yeah.
And he had to get an extra pit stop to clean that out because brakes were really overheating around here, as Norris found out with his rear axle melting.
That was weird. I've never seen that before. I've never seen a brake melt off the suspension like that.
And it just fully sheared the axle, didn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
because it looked like it hit the wall. It didn't look like it, but it was bizarre.
The other driver for me, as much as we said that Ferrari stuffed up Leclerc in the race, but I think Leclerc had a pretty average weekend all in all. In qualifying, he was 0.687 seconds off Vettel. We all know he's capable a lot better than that.
He did say that qualifying was something he needs to work on. So he was aware of that one at least.
Yeah, so he kind of put himself in a bad position there. He should have been a lot closer to Vettel. And the other one, the major one for me, is Bottas. Where was Bottas 2.0 this weekend? He was just...
Yeah,
nowhere.
Definitely. A long way off his performances we've seen earlier on. Because I had picked him for the championship, and I'm looking like a bit of a dill now.
And he was quite a way back, about 50 seconds off Hamilton by the end of the race. He was like, there's just no excuse for that, really.
No, there's not. Now,
so he had a silly spin. Yeah, so that were the shockers for me, the drivers. I just thought I had to quickly mention them.
Now, I've actually reading this for the first time, but you're not the first one to mention it. The pit stop prediction data graphic that they were using.
I wanted to ask you, what do you think about that?
Was there one that came up that was silly, or I didn't really see it?
No, it's not silly. It's something they've introduced this year. I don't know if it's Formula One who have introduced it or if it's Sky F1.
Yeah.
So, for example,
I think it is... it'll be F1 because it's on the world feed, because it's on the F1 TV.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I've been noticing it a lot the last few races, and now that I'm noticing it, it's annoying me even more. It comes up across the bottom of the TV like Ricciardo has got a 54% chance of overtaking Hulkenberg, for example, after this pit stop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are you telling me that? Like, first of all, I want the excitement of seeing if he's going to actually beat him coming out of the pit lane.
Right, you don't want to be told in advance if it's going to happen or not.
I don't want to be told by some computer what the percentage is. Like, I just see it as a totally pointless graphic. What is the point of it?
I like it.
Oh, my God. Why?
Because it just gives you more data that just you're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Like, oh, he's back 0.3 or whatever, and they have the gap difference. And I know the percentage is a bit weird, but I like the one where they have, like he needs to gain 0.3 or 0.2 seconds, and it changes all the time.
That I don't really have that much of an issue with, but when you 63% chance that Bottas is going to jump Gasly at this pit stop.
But they do that with rain. They go, oh, it's got a 90% chance of rain. It never freaking rains. So how much can you believe it?
All I'm saying is, why does my TV need to tell me that when I'm already watching it, and I will be watching him come out of the pit lane, and I will see the other car coming down the straight and going neck and neck, and it will be like, oh shit, is he going to make it, isn't he? Oh, no, he's going to make it because I was already told he's going to make it. So, I don't know. It's just one of those things that's really been rubbing me the wrong way.
You're not the first one to mention it and to hate it either. So it's just it's interesting because I've never had an issue with it. But, very interesting because you mentioned it on the same weekend as well.
Maybe I'm just getting old man syndrome.
Possibly. I mean, I'm not
grumpy
far
old
off,
man.
But yeah, I like it. Maybe you got to get to a certain age bracket.
Once you get over 40.
Yeah, I've got 10 years then. All right. Now, should we do the S3 awards, or is there anything else you want to finish up on?
One more thing I was just going to mention was the tyres.
Yeah.
Because it's been a major talking point this year in all of the races. But I'm wondering if even that had something to do with Renault's fight back this week. Maybe they were able to switch their tyres on because the track surface was so hot. It was up to 50 degrees track surface temperature.
Yep.
So I think a few of the teams actually managed to turn their tyres on, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't really think about it, but yeah, they've always had that trouble trying to activate them, so to speak.
Exactly.
And yeah, you could be onto something there. Who knows? Well, wait and see what Paul Ricard brings. We'll watch the temps there.
And Ferrari and Red Bull have actually made an appeal to the FIA to bring back the thicker tread tyres to Pirelli. Sorry.
Okay. Oh well, we'll keep an eye on that one as well. Now, that's the checkered flag done. All the other little bits and pieces that you might not have known that have happened. So, thanks to Aussie, he's done most of the work there. X3 Awards, though, is where we put out the Superstar, the Surpriser, and the Stinker Award. The Superstar gets 2 points, Surpriser gets 1. Stinker, we take away a point. Now, I've got my 3 picked for the weekend. Have you got your 3 picked?
No, I haven't. I'm just going to do it now.
It's all right. I'll get the party started for my Surpriser this week. I don't think it's that surprising, but I'm going to be giving it to Stroll. We talked about him in the Lights Out section. He had a great weekend, 17th to 9th. I really can't fault him. No, I mean, there were other few people there, like Ricciardo was close. I almost gave it to Giovinazzi before he spun, but yeah, Stroll won it for me in the end.
Okay. For me, I was thinking about it. I really wanted to give it to Vettel, but I can't give it to him because it was his mistake, which led to all of the controversy. So,
right.
And I just feel like a driver of his caliber shouldn't be making those sort of mistakes. So I'm going to give it to my boy, Ricciardo.
Yeah, fair enough.
No one saw that coming. 4th on the grid in qualifying. That was just... I'm still like, wow.
Yeah, well, it was a great run. Like, Renault haven't been up there at all this season. So, I was very close to giving it to Ricciardo too. So
okay, good.
Yeah.
Because, I have to give it to him. And I'm going to give Stroll 1 point because, again, like I said, we spoke about it. He had a great weekend, I thought. So,
right.
And so did you, obviously. So,
well,
he's my 1 point.
Stroll got the 2 points for me. The 1 point, the surpriser for me was actually Kvyat. Because he got past. He made a great pass at the end of the race. He got the points in the end. He's just... I don't know. He sort of was nowhere all weekend, but that race he sort of just surprised me basically. And that's why he gets a surprising point.
He's doing well, isn't he? With his second chance. So
far. He's making the most of it. I think he's like I think I've said it before, but he seems to have matured and grown up a lot. He's learnt from it, and he's definitely taking this opportunity with both hands. And like you said, who knows? It could put him back into the top team again with Red Bull.
And wouldn't that be very interesting to watch how he handles it if he gets back in that seat?
Oh, if that happens, that it'll just be amazing. Amazing.
It really will be.
The stinker. Who was your stinker of the weekend? Who are we
My
taking
stinker
away
of the week? I kind of mentioned it earlier, but I have to give it to Bottas.
Yep.
For not just the crap weekend he had, but also, again, robbing us F1 fans. We needed him to win this race. For the sake of the championship, he's robbing us and just handing the championship to Lewis.
Yeah, true. He sort of is. I did almost go with Bottas, but I have to give it to Magnussen because I think what he said over the radio was just... I was like, come on, man, you did it to yourself in qualifying, and you've done nothing with it all race. So, yeah, my stinker of the race was Magnussen because I just don't think it was a good performance from him. I know it was a bad setup, but I just...
Hey, he put himself in that position by hitting the wall of champions. So,
well, don't they say that makes him a future champion at some point?
Well, he's running out of time.
Yeah, K-Mag is for sure. So is Grosjean, actually, but we'll see what happens there. So that's the X3 Awards. We'll get you updated at the end of the summer break. So stay tuned for that. Unless you've been tallying it up at home, that's that's awesome for you because I haven't been doing that. Rookie Watch, where we give the best rookie a point, and we'll be tallying that up as well during the summer break. The Rookie Watch, rookie of this race. It was hard.
Who did you pick? Because I almost can't give a point this week.
Mine's blank as well because Norris didn't really... Like, Norris had a great run. He was... how good was it watching him race against Verstappen? Because knowing that those two race each other online, I was like, this is going to be good. Like, I wanted that to hang around.
They raced together and against each other, that's right.
Yeah, but like Albon, he it wasn't his fault, but he got squeezed at the start. Giovinazzi, he finished 12th, but he did spin. He did beat Raikkonen in that race. I guess it's just going to have to be Giovinazzi for me. I mean, it's a bit of a win by default, but I think I don't know who else gets it.
Well, for me, I'm going to have to go the other way and just give it to Lando just because he out-qualified Sainz in qualifying. He was 8th on the grid. Sainz was 9th. And he didn't really get to show us exactly what he was capable of doing in the race because of his car.
Yeah, I think he was capable of a lot. Like, I was really looking forward to that fight with him and Verstappen and whoever else would have been around. Would have been Daniel there as well at some point, even Hulkenberg. So that would have been really good, but we were robbed of that.
So I think, again, it's a bit like by default. I mean, there really wasn't a standout rookie this weekend. So I'm going to give Norris 1 point, and you're giving it to Giovinazzi, did you say?
Yeah, Giovinazzi by default.
Yeah, okay.
Now,
all right.
Paul Ricard is up next, and we have to pick the first 5.
How did we go in our predictions at Canada?
I didn't get a single point. I don't know about you, but I didn't get anything right.
You and I both had Bottas and Hamilton first and second.
Yeah, I think, because I picked Bottas. I picked Bottas, Hamilton, Verstappen, Vettel, Leclerc in that order.
Right. And I had Bottas, Hamilton, Vettel, Leclerc, and Max. So I think I got 1 point.
Where did Max come?
5th.
Oh, I'm looking at the starting grid of the race, not the race results, you idiot. That would make it. 5th. Yeah, Max Verstappen was 5th. You're right.
Yeah, I had a slow start, but I'm having a little bit of a comeback now.
You are, aren't you? Have you picked your Paul Ricard 5? Because I have.
I have. Jeez, you're really on it this week.
Yeah, man. Told you I was going to get back on it. Told you I was going to get organised.
Renovating house and everything.
I know.
Okay.
Well, Paul Ricard. The Ferrari showed a lot of pace. And I almost, at the start of the weekend at Canada, there was Crofty and the Sky Gang going, Ferrari have so much pace. They're on it again. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Like, you do this every week.
That was Toto too.
Yeah. But they were right. Vettel had it on the straight. Leclerc had it on the Ferraris had it down the straight. So I'm going to go Vettel, Leclerc, Hamilton, Bottas, Ricciardo at Paul Ricard.
Vettel, Leclerc, wow.
Hamilton,
I was gonna...
Bottas, Ricciardo.
Hamilton, Bottas, Ricciardo. I was going to sneak Ricciardo in there on 5th, but you also did as well. So
I mean, I'm a little bit hopeful, I guess, but I hope this happens.
I'm going to be a believer. I'm going to leave him there in 5th and the Renault power.
Yeah, I reckon he might be able to do it. They've shown some good pace here in Canada, so who knows what they can do with 2 weeks up their sleeve.
What we saw this weekend from Dan and Ricciardo, I feel like that's where we wanted them to be starting in Australia, sort of thing. Like,
yeah,
and then working from there, you know. Whereas they just started nowhere, and kind of now they're kind of where we were hoping they would be at the start. So
yeah, so they're 6-7 races behind.
That's correct.
So yeah, that's a long way to catch up. But
I'm going to go Vettel, Bottas,
okay,
Hamilton, and Leclerc for fourth.
Vettel, Bottas, Hamilton, Leclerc, and Ricciardo in fifth.
Yes, that's me.
All right. Well, we must be pretty close now on the tally, because I was averaging one there a race, but I haven't scored many now in the last.
I believe after my stonking Monaco results, I think we're equal, and now I might be one ahead.
Yeah, you probably are, you bastard. But I mean, they say how predictable F1 has been, and we haven't been that successful, have we?
Well, I've never actually sat down and done predictions like this before in all of my years of watching and following Formula One. This is my first time that I'm fair dinkum trying to pick the 5 positions every race. And no, it's not that easy.
It's not. Like, you can get sort of roundabout close, but getting exactly it's not. There's no science to it. It's a lot of guessing, really, at the end of the day.
I guess it would have been pretty easy if you were just a Hamilton believer and you were just going, religiously Hamilton, 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 but we all fell into the Ferrari...
The Ferrari trap, I'd like to call it.
Yeah, the Ferrari trap, so that kind of wasted a lot of points early on.
Oh, because they just kept saying they were so quick, and
here we are again. We've both got Vettel on top.
I know,
next
but
week.
they were. I mean, yeah. Anyway, we'll find out. We'll wait and see. Who knows?
Again, guys, I got to say, if you're out there and, hit us with your predictions before the race too. Let's compare. Let's see if someone can get 5 out of 5.
Yeah, totally. Hit us up.
Jump onto the Lights Out F1 Facebook page. Hit your predictions in there for the Canadian race. For the French race coming up. And let's see who can be the first one amongst us all to get 5 out of 5.
Yeah, we'll have to get some sort of prize for you, but I don't know how good it'll be. We don't have a lot of money left after paying for Formula One games and steering wheels and stuff like that. Now, next up, we have the Sim Racing and Esports World, which we like to talk about. Obviously, Aussie runs the Friday Night League, which is kicking off this week, and I'll be streaming it back on Demo 1 Garage again, finally.
We are kicking off with our new season this Friday, guys. It'll be 9:45 p.m.
That's
on the
Australian
Friday.
Eastern Standard, by the way.
That's correct, Sydney time, following the race. So the Friday following the week of the race. So we just had Canada Sunday. We're doing Canada this Friday. So when France happens, we will do the following Friday France. So that's the way we're doing our calendar this season. We are following the real F1 calendar. The biggest change for us this season is we're introducing the full qualifying, where previously we've done a 20-minute quick quali before the race. This time we're going through Q1, Q2, Q3, so there will be eliminations, and Josh will be streaming it. So
yeah, I'll be back doing commentary again.
That'll be on his Demo 1 Garage Facebook page, and it'll be on the FNL1 Esports page and on our YouTube channels. Like, you can catch it anywhere.
And then finally, when I do move into the new house, there are plans to get it onto the YouTubes, your YouTube, because you have a YouTube. And I'll also be upping the quality to 1080, maybe 4K if there's people out there that want it that badly. So,
hello, MBN.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, I got really good internet at my new place, so cross your fingers for that. For now, though, I'll just be keeping it on my sturdy and steady 720p, but we'll get there in the end. We'll be bringing better and better quality, and it'll get better as the season gets on. So stick with us. But the racing is always top notch.
I will be also putting up a driver of the race poll every week, which the fans watching the stream and the replay, I'll leave it up for 24 hours after every race, and we'll have a driver of the race each week as well. So
yeah, that we did test that, but
we did a little test at the end. Yes.
Yep. Can they still sign up to be in the league at all?
Yes, 100% they can. I believe as of now we've got one spare seat left. We've got 19 guys signed up. We had one drop out just today because of work and real life commitments. So we're down to 19 drivers instead of the 20 that we had. So if anyone is interested, jump onto the FNL1 Esports Facebook page. You can also just go www.fnl1esports.com. And that'll take you straight to the Facebook page, and you can sign up for our league there. We'll also take reserve drivers, because if we get enough people wanting in, we will be holding an F2 series. So once the new game comes out. So sign up, guys.
And so that won't be too far away. We won't be doing the 2019 as soon as it's released. We're going to give people a grace period. But so you don't fret if you don't get the game straight away. We will have, but we will like to do an F2 series, and hopefully Codemasters don't screw us with microtransactions, and we can actually, customize the cars a bit, because that'll be quite interesting too. But we'll wait and see, because I haven't heard any bloody news on that yet.
We don't have long to wait. I mean, it's scheduled to be released on the 28th of this month. So
we've got like
only a few weeks away.
15 days, something like that to wait. It's not long.
I haven't heard any delays, so
hopefully I get some new toys to play with, and some nice camera angles and stuff. But again, heard nothing about that. I'm a bit salty at Codemasters. They make a good game. They just always seem to wreck it in the important bits.
It's just the perfect sim does not exist out there.
It doesn't, does it? It doesn't, does it? Other esports news. Sorry, I'll get along with this one. The McLaren Shadow Project Season 2, it's set to start again in July. So keep an eye out on Real Racing 3, which is a mobile game, R Factor 2, and Forza 7. It'd be Motorsports, not Horizons. Horizons a little bit different. But, those three titles will be the way to qualify. Real Racing 3, very interesting, because that's a mobile title. But you've played that extensively. It's okay, but
I was telling you earlier, I spent a lot of time on that.
They're clearly not looking for a full sim racer. They're looking for someone. They're obviously looking for someone that can, exploit what they're given, I guess.
I think, from what I can gather, I haven't read anything on this, but it's kind of like when they did the World's Fastest Gamer. Because looking at those titles there, where they've got Real Racing 3, which is a mobile game you can play on your phone or on your iPad.
It's free to play.
And then there's R Factor 2, which is more like getting into sim racing style, like iRacing, and in a rig with steering wheel and everything. And then you've also got Forza 7, which is kind of like sim racing, but kind of arcade as well. So I get the feeling... I get the feeling, Simcade is the terminology, yes.
Yeah. I hate
Josh.
that word, but that's what they call it,
But I just get the feeling that they're trying to grab people from all types of gaming, and let's just see who's best at this.
Yeah, so, very interesting. And then, finally, if you haven't heard it, it's a little bit old news now, but finally, Ferrari have joined the... what they call it, the New Balance Formula One Esports. So they've finally got their own esports team, and that's the first time all the F1 teams have had an official esports team in the F1 the esports championship. So
it's taken us 3 seasons, but we got there in the end.
Thank you, Ferrari. I don't know why they always take their. I don't know why they're not in the Netflix thing. They've just joined up to the esports thing. Like, come on, guys, just get with it.
You just mentioned it there, and when you said finally join the official esports team, that actually triggered me to say that they are also in the Netflix series now.
Oh, they confirmed it?
For this year, yes. But I was also thinking, I read online today, popped up in Facebook, but how juicy is the Canada episode going to be on the Netflix series?
I can't wait, actually.
That's a great point.
They must get. It's going to be so good. Anyway, we'll wait and see. The Fantasy League is up next, the final thing in the podcast. I've done really well. I don't know about you, Aussie. Where the hell are you on this list? Because I'm coming 7th.
Oh,
I've got
I forgot to
961
change
points
my
overall.
team.
And Aussie is your 10th. You got
What did I get this
896
week?
points, so not too bad there.
Because I forgot to change my team. I know.
Now, I didn't do that great. Magnussen somehow got me 26 points as a turbo. Go figure. Verstappen, Sainz, Perez, and Kvyat.
The
and I
point
had
scoring on
Mercedes.
this fantasy league is really weird, isn't it?
Sorry?
The point scoring is really weird. I don't know how they quite
Yeah.
figure it all out.
Yeah, I mean, there is a system. I did know it, but I got 143 points this week, if you care about the week points. But yeah, just...
What
yeah.
did I get this week?
I didn't realise my team didn't consist of... Okay, anyway. I don't know what you got. You didn't... I know you're sitting in 10th. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at Dr. Aussie. 896 points overall. Chase FNL 1. You got 132. You got 35 with Vettel, 13 with Magnussen. So that's why I got 26. That's still pretty good for where he came, eh? Raikkonen got 8th. He was your turbo.
I know, that's what
Kvyat-
I was going to change, actually, because
Kvyat
he's
9,
nowhere.
Gasly 10, Ferrari 57 as your manufacturer.
Okay, well. So how much am I? About 50 behind you.
Overall,
Yeah, overall.
let's do the math. I'm 961. You're 896. So yeah,
Okay, so I'm
you're
yeah,
about 60 behind.
65 behind you.
Yeah.
And what about our leader?
Our leader is still East Coast. It's still Bethany, and 1145 points.
She's been really consistent from round one. She just keeps chipping away. And
Smashing
she's gone
it.
first, second.
She's got 171 points this week. She had Hamilton, Bottas, Sainz as a turbo, Kubica and Kvyat, and Mercedes as the manufacturer. I mean, you can't go wrong there. 2 Mercedes drivers.
I think picking that turbo driver is key, you know.
It is
getting
some
a good
weeks.
score.
It really
Yeah.
is. Although
If you can
Magnussen
pick
was
the
like
right
one of the
one.
better turbos. But he came so far down the order. It
How
doesn't
did
make-
that work? Because he stuffed it in qualifying and he stuffed it in the race.
I know.
So
I don't
how
get it either. But
I don't know.
whatever. That's what it says. Well, what an episode it's been. It's,
Yeah, there's been a little bit on the long side, guys. We're just hitting about an hour and a half, but
yeah.
there was the big issue of the race. It could quite well end up the big issue of the year, so
Yeah,
we
who
shall just have to
knows?
wait and see what F1 throws up.
Yeah, Paul Ricard next. Got 2 weeks to wait. Ferraris, we're expecting them to, I don't know, be at the front again, but we'll wait and see. Controversy, probably unlikely, but we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that one. But I'd just like to say thanks for joining us this week for the Lights at F1. Again, don't forget, wherever you're listening on from, to give us a like, a subscribe, a rating, if it's on iTunes, the 5 stars, if you would please. Thank you very much. Yeah, and don't forget to get in contact with us on Facebook, on the F1 Lights Out Facebook page. Go and like us there. Let us know about what you thought about any of the Lights Out points. Give us your predictions for Canada. For France. But yeah, it's been good. It's been fun.
Yeah, if you've listened this far, guys, give us a bit of love, give us a bit of a follow, give us a bit of share.
We know some of you are listening. We just don't
Give
know.
us a bit of interaction. Give us something. Tell us how shit we are.
Just tell us we're doing something wrong. Anyway, it's
Well-
been fun. My name's Josh from Demo 1. This is the F1 Lights Out F1 Lights Out podcast. I'll see you guys in Paul Ricard. So, good night. And Aussie.
Thanks, guys. See you after France. Push it to the limit and keep it on track.
Bye.